Perimeter detection systems. Before anyone gets close to a billionaire's property, sensors are already tracking them. These systems use a combination of ground-based vibration sensors, infrared beams, and microwave barriers, buried or hidden along the outer edges of a property. When something crosses the invisible boundary, the system triggers a silent alert to a security team rather than a loud alarm. The goal is awareness without escalation. Some of the more advanced versions can distinguish between a deer walking across a lawn and a person moving with intent, reducing false alarms significantly. Properties in remote locations rely heavily on these, because the distance between the outer wall and the main residence is large enough that early detection buys critical response time. Biometric access control. The era of keys and key codes is largely over for high-net-worth individuals. Biometric systems authenticate identity using physical characteristics, fingerprints, iris patterns, facial geometry, or even vein mapping in the palm. These traits are extremely difficult to duplicate, which makes them far more reliable than something that can be stolen or guessed. High-end installations layer multiple biometrics together, so a door might require both a face scan and a fingerprint before unlocking. Some systems also incorporate behavioral biometrics, meaning the way a person walks or types is used as a continuous background check throughout their time inside the property. Originally developed for government and military facilities, this technology has moved steadily into private estates over the last 2 decades. Ballistic resistant architecture. Some security begins before a single guard is hired or a single camera is installed. Certain homes built for or modified by billionaires incorporate materials into the walls, windows, and doors that can withstand gunfire. Laminated ballistic glass looks identical to standard glass but is built from multiple bonded layers that absorb and distribute the energy of a bullet rather than shattering. Reinforced concrete cores hidden inside conventional-looking exterior walls serve a similar purpose. Safe rooms, often called panic rooms, are built within the structure using these same materials and are designed to sustain occupants during an attack for long enough that law enforcement can respond. The concept became publicly known in the early 2000s, but had been a fixture of diplomatic residences and government buildings for much longer. AI-powered surveillance networks. A single property can have hundreds of cameras, and no human team can watch all of them at once. Artificial intelligence solves that problem by monitoring every feed simultaneously and flagging anything unusual. Modern systems are trained to detect when someone lingers near a gate, when a vehicle parks outside a residence at unusual hours, or when an unfamiliar face appears repeatedly across different camera angles over multiple days. The AI doesn't just react, it builds a baseline of what normal activity looks like on a property and gets better at identifying anomalies over time. Some networks connect to law enforcement databases or private threat intelligence services, cross-referencing flagged individuals against known persons of interest. Electronic countermeasures. Not all threats are physical. Surveillance, eavesdropping, and signal interception are real concerns for individuals whose conversations carry financial or political weight. Electronic countermeasures cover a wide range of technologies designed to detect and neutralize these threats. Sweep devices scan rooms for hidden microphones and transmitters before sensitive meetings take place. Faraday cages built into walls or even entire rooms block electromagnetic signals entirely, preventing any device inside from transmitting data. White noise generators mask conversations from directional microphones pointed at windows from a distance. These systems require regular updating because the tools used to conduct surveillance evolve quickly, and countermeasures that worked 5 years ago may not be sufficient today. Close protection details. Technology handles a great deal, but human judgment still plays an irreplaceable role. A close protection team, commonly referred to as a security detail, consists of trained operatives who accompany a principal, the person being protected in public and sometimes private settings. These individuals are typically former military or law enforcement personnel who have completed additional specialized training in threat assessment, defensive driving, emergency medicine, and protective tactics. A detail is not simply a group of large people standing nearby. It operates with clear roles. Some agents advance locations before arrival, others control the immediate space around the principal, and others monitor the broader environment for developing threats. The size of a detail varies based on threat level, destination, and the principal's own preferences. Drone detection and countermeasure systems. Commercial drones have introduced a threat that was essentially non-existent 20 years ago. They can be used to photograph, surveil, or in extreme cases deliver harmful objects to a location without anyone physically entering the property. In response, a category of technology has developed specifically to detect, track, and neutralize unauthorized drones. Radio frequency analyzers scan for the communication signals that drones use to receive commands from operators. Acoustic sensors can pick up the specific sound signature of drone rotors. Once detected, countermeasure systems can either jam the signal causing the drone to land or return to its operator, or in more regulated deployments, use net-firing devices to physically capture the aircraft. This technology is currently one of the fastest evolving segments of private security. Secure communication infrastructure. When information is as valuable as physical safety, communications need their own layer of protection. Billionaires and their security teams use encrypted communication platforms that go beyond standard consumer-grade apps. Some operate on private, isolated networks that are not connected to the public internet at all. Voice calls may be routed through end-to-end encrypted systems with keys that change frequently and are never stored on external servers. Physical communications devices can be hardened against remote compromise. In some cases, individuals travel with their own portable communication infrastructure so that they are not dependent on local networks, which may be compromised or monitored. Governments have long operated this way, and much of the technology used in private high-security environments is directly derived from state-level communications doctrine. Maritime and aviation security systems. For those whose assets include private yachts or aircraft, security extends well beyond the property line. Superyachts are increasingly equipped with intrusion detection systems, remote monitoring, anti-piracy measures such as water cannons and safe rooms built into the hull, and sometimes armed security personnel during certain voyages. Private aircraft have their own considerations: verified crew, secured hangars, anti-tampering checks before flight, and communication encryption during transit. Some aircraft are modified to include missile warning systems, originally developed for military jets, that alert pilots to incoming threats. The logic behind both maritime and aviation security is the same as ground-based protection. Control access, monitor the perimeter, and ensure there is always a plan for the worst-case scenario. Threat intelligence services. Prevention is more effective than response, and threat intelligence is how prevention begins. These services, often staffed by former intelligence agency analysts, monitor open-source information, dark web activity, and human intelligence networks to identify potential threats to a client before those threats become active. They track individuals who have made statements of intent, monitor activist groups that may be planning disruptive actions, and assess geopolitical conditions in regions where a client travels frequently. Reports are delivered regularly to the security team, allowing protection plans to be adjusted based on current risk levels. For clients who operate globally or whose public profiles make them polarizing figures, this kind of ongoing situational awareness is considered fundamental to everything else in the security structure.